Today we are going to see what's inside an electric shower and find out if you are risking your life when you take a shower. Let's disassemble this thing right away. What do you want to know? I want to know how to turn this on since there's no switch, only a faucet on the shower. Is there a wire inside the faucet? So when I turn the faucet, it turns on the shower? This will be easy to see. Do you know when I moved to Sao Paulo? I moved into a university apartment at the University of Sao Paulo residential complex, which provides housing for students who can't afford rent. In the first few days there, while taking a shower, I turned it on and the shower exploded. Fire started coming out, smoke, black smoke. I didn't know what to do. I ran out naked, desperate in the apartment. My only friend at home made fun of me for a week for running around naked in the living room, unaware of what was happening. By the end, you'll see why this can easily happen with an electric shower, which was invented in Brazil in the 1930s and is not common worldwide. It's used in Argentina, in Colombia, in some places in Africa, but in Europe there are places where it's banned, and in the United States they call it a suicide shower. Because after all, if you put electricity in the water above your head, it doesn't seem like a very smart idea. Let's find out if this is true. The bottom of the shower is usually hard, but since I just opened it, it's easy, and here's the gold. Let's go, my son. Ah! Ha 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 ha. Here it is, look. There's practically nothing in the shower. First thing, what heats up is this kind of little spring here. It's a resistor. Most people will call it resistance, which basically is a metal that when electric energy passes through it, it gets very hot. It's what's inside an iron too. But let's follow the water's path then. The water enters through this hole and soon reaches this resistor area. But for now, the shower is turned off. For the water to reach you, it will have to pass through this other little hole and then it will be spread through the shower holes. How does it turn on? How does the energy get here? It's going to push this little rubber piece, see? At the bottom there is a kind of membrane that due to the water pressure, it will fill with water, it will push this little rubber piece up. But the trick is up here. When the water pushes the rubber, it carries along these two copper terminals that are here, and one touches the other. You can see that they make contact and the energy can pass through. That's how the shower turns on. It's because of this mechanism that we don't need a switch outside of the shower. The switch is already in here and turns on the moment the water passes through. Is it worth a thumbs up or not? I can't give a thumbs up since I'm all wet. I'll give one at the end after you show the rest. Check out this resistor up close. It's pretty cool. I brought a model here that is one of the older ones and this newer one that is what's inside our shower. You will notice that it has 3 terminals. It has 3 places to fit the wire that comes with the electricity. Regulating shower temperature is crucial. How does the shower achieve this? When we set it to summer, when we want warmer water there, it turns on the entire resistor. So the energy passes through all of this here. When we want the shower hotter, the water scalding, it only turns on a part of the resistor. And that's kind of strange, isn't it? Because it seems like it doesn't make much sense. To heat up a lot, you only use a piece of the resistor? Yes, look at the name of this thing, resistor. It offers a resistance to energy. It doesn't let the energy pass. It's bad for the energy to pass there. So, if it's tiny, it will have less resistance. That means more energy passes through, it gets hotter. If you have a large resistor, it has more resistance. The energy will pass less, the shower will heat up less. I know it's kind of hard to believe what I'm talking about. So, let's see in practice the thing working with an experiment that you can never do at home, okay? I'm holding live wires, but I won't connect them to avoid tripping the circuit breaker. Let's proceed. I'm going to first touch the 2 ends of the resistor. And you will see that it will heat up. Look, it starts to turn red, 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 red. I'll remove it to prevent burning. We'll use a smaller resistor part, which heats up very quickly. As soon as I touch it, it turns red. So this here is the summer, and this here... Oops, I'm going to use the wire itself to strip. Something is wrong. The circuit breaker fell, and despite saying I wouldn't, I'm doing it at home anyway. I think a resistor was lost. Let's try this older one, okay? Shower in the summer position, it will heat up slightly. It uses the entire resistor. As you can see when we touch here, it starts to heat up slowly. Now I'm going to shorten it. I'm going to use a smaller piece and then you can see that it heats up instantly. Look, it turns red, even sparks because it gets too hot. Oh wow, it melted. When someone says that the shower's resistance has burned, this is what happens. Shall we see it again? When you use excessive energy, the circuit breaker trips. Okay, I get it, but why do people say that you can't switch between winter and summer up there with the shower on? Well, you could, but I wouldn't do that. How does the shower decide when to switch to summer and when to switch to winter? It's this little switch up here. You can see that when we put it on off, it places a piece of plastic in between the wire contacts. It's as if one of the wires has been cut. You can't turn on the shower anymore. If you put it in the winter position, it will only turn on the small part of the resistor. Putting it in the summer will turn on the entire resistor by switching these copper contacts on and off. The problem is that if you keep doing this with the shower on, it will spark there, which over time will wear out the copper, and there will come a time when it will no longer work. In fact, if you've ever done it, probably a spark came out, a little shower light, that's what happened. It's the spark that's happening between one terminal and another, because you're turning it off and on at the moment a lot of energy is passing through. And why does it make noise, huh? Let's see the resistor heating the water. I think it will be easy to find out. I'm going to connect a wire on each side of the resistor. I'm practically making a loose shower. Remember, don't try this experiment at home. Check out this stunning sight. There are a bunch of bubbles coming out of the resistor. It's the water that's boiling there. It's the water turning into gas and this formation of bubbles that makes the noise. And maybe you're asking me, hey, but it's not making the same noise as the shower. I can barely hear this noise. You're not hearing it because I'm turning on a resistor that was made to be used with 220 volts in an outlet that is 110. So we're dealing with much less power. It's very weak here. It's not the same thing that happens inside the shower. But why doesn't it shock me? If there's energy here, how come it doesn't reach me? We've reached an important part. First thing, you don't have direct contact with the water. You have contact with the droplets that are falling from the shower. Unless you're very tall and take a shower practically leaning against the shower, there's air there, there's a separation between the water that's in contact with the wire and you. But the second thing, much more important than that, is that water is a terrible conductor of electricity. Yeah, we think that water is practically a copper wire, but it's not. It transmits very poorly. Let's do an experiment to see. I set up a scheme here that is as follows. The energy comes out of the socket and should reach the lamp. It's just not going to get there because one of the wires is cut and I'm going to put this wire in the water. If water is a great electricity conductor, the lamp will light up as soon as I plug this in. Let's see if it happens, or oops, I forgot to put the water in the water is lukewarm. I put it in, let's go. I've lost count of how many times I've had to remember that this experiment should not be done. There is no experiment to do at home today. The experiment to do at home is to take a bath. Let's go. Better to turn off the lights here in the studio. 1, 2, 3, and no sign of turning on. For water to conduct electricity, it must be ionized. We need to add salt, an acid, and something alkaline. In this case, I'll add a bit of table salt. You'll notice the difference. Insert it slowly to see if the light bulb illuminates gradually, as if it were a... Oh, look how cool. It's already lit up. Let's add a little more here. It's going up. Let's add some salt and see what happens. Tap water, water that comes out in a shower, it doesn't transmit electricity well. The experiment reveals a crucial aspect of electrical safety in the shower. If energy flows through two wires, with one being a resistor and the shower filled with water, the energy will more easily pass through the water than the resistor. Through the resistor or through the water? A hint, I just showed that energy doesn't pass properly through water. So it's logical that it will prefer the resistor. It's much easier for energy to pass through here than through the water. So it has no reason to go to you. It will want to go through the resistor, which is the easier path. Energy is like water. It always takes the easiest path. More or less, right? Because it doesn't shock in the shower, but a little shock on a faucet here and there, it does. Yeah, you're right. The thing is, we don't get shocked here because the drops are falling. But we have to remember that there is a pipe inside the wall that is carrying the water to the shower. And this pipe is full of water, so around here the energy can circulate a bit. And usually the faucet where you turn on the shower is made of metal, so if the energy circulates a bit through the water and you put your hand on the faucet, you can get a little shock if the installation is poorly done. There's one thing I haven't shown yet. The shower doesn't have two wires coming into it, it has three. Look at this green one in the middle. This is the ground wire. And what does it do inside the shower? It's a wire that's loose inside, loose in the middle of the water. And if we follow its path, most of the time it goes to the ground, sometimes to the poles, sometimes to the house, and it's connected to a copper bar that's stuck in the ground. What is this for? If any energy wants to escape, it will always prefer a copper wire, and this copper wire is connected to the ground. So if it wants to run away, it will run away through here. It escapes through the ground wire and not through the water. This way, it's impossible to get shocked because the energy will never prefer to pass through your body. It's easier to reach the ground through this exposed wire in the shower. The wire is stripped at 2 points, where the water comes in and where the water goes out. This is to ensure that the energy doesn't want to escape through either of these two places. So from what you're saying, it's practically impossible to get shocked in an electric shower, right? So I don't need to be afraid of anything. Look, I'll tell you that in my entire life, in my 43 years, I've never heard a story about someone getting electrocuted in an electric shower while bathing. But there are a lot of people who get hurt when changing the shower or the resistor. Imagine the situation. The person needs to change the shower that burned out. Then they simply take a screwdriver without turning anything off, without anything, and go there on these little screws. They stay here behind and want to unscrew to change the shower, to remove the shower. But the electricity is passing through here. If they touch the screwdriver to the screw, this part of the screwdriver is already electrified. There is already energy reaching here. If they touch the screwdriver and some part of their body is touching the wall, the floor, or something like that, the energy will want to pass through them until it reaches the ground and the shock is given. It can get worse if the person touches both wires, as there's no need for ground or anything else in that case. The energy wants to pass through them to get to the other wire. Normally the shower is connected to 220 volts, which is already a higher voltage than most houses, which is 110. So the shock is already stronger. Besides that, there's this little piece here, which is the circuit breaker, which is nothing more than a switch that when too much energy passes through, it turns off, it falls. But in the shower, as more energy is required to pass through, it is usually more resistant and harder for it to fall. So it can happen that a person causes a short circuit here, gets a big shock, and the breaker does not trip, because the shower's breaker is very resistant. So at least, whenever I went to change the shower, I would turn off all the breakers in the box, all of them, including the main breaker, the main switch of the house. The whole house is without power, but Iberé, that's kind of an exaggeration, isn't it? You don't have to go that far. You can just turn off where it says shower. First of all, I want to see the house where everything is written correctly. Where is the shower? Where is the living room? Usually there is nothing written because at least in the manual it doesn't come. Second, you are putting your life at risk. It's very dangerous. So just to be safe, it's better to turn everything off. And I also usually wear sneakers, so I'm not in direct contact with the ground, because if I touch any wire and there's power, the electricity won't want to pass through me to get to the ground. And it would still be good to wear glasses, gloves, and not touch the metallic part of the tools. But I'm going to tell you, and you too, that worse things have happened. Sometimes the shower resistor burns out and people want to change the resistor without turning off the shower's power. Then the person disassembles this part of the shower while it's still connected to the power. But then he's also stupid, right? It's best not to judge others. Besides everything I've said, there's a way to burn the shower's resistance, maybe even catch fire, produce a lot of smoke that happens without you messing with its electrical part, which is when there's a water shortage in your house or when you've just installed it. At this time, a little bit of air can get inside the water pipe that goes to the shower. And if there's air, the air will get in here and will push that little black membrane that I showed inside. The shower will turn on, the resistor will heat up, all of this dry, just like the experiment we just showed. The resistor turns red, catches fire, etc. And probably that's what happened when I moved here to Sao Paulo and had to run naked through the apartment. It's a good experiment for us to do while reassembling this shower, huh? But how will you test it practically if I'm showering here? Should have left already, right? Spent the whole video here wasting water, wasting energy, didn't give a thumbs up. No, but the shower that's here is the same one you opened, which is down there. Don't say that, or they'll find out that you and I are the same person. Play it cool.
Thumbs up can burn the shower here, causing problems.
I wonder if I can assemble it correctly here. I think it's going to work out. We've installed the shower, so the solution for it not to burn would be to put it in the off position, turn on the water, let the water arrive, run a bit. Then I close the faucet, put it on winter or summer, and it's all good. I can use the shower. But that's not what I'm going to do. It's already on winter up there, and 1, 2, 3, and Yeah, in this case, it turned on normally, and there's probably some path the water takes inside so that this doesn't happen with this shower. Congratulations to the manufacturer. At least I've already showered today, unlike the other Ibere who took a 20-minute shower. Today we're going to find out what's inside an electric shower and more. I also discovered I was mistaken in all the texts and got soaked for no reason, which must be included at the video's end.